I would put my heavy leaning towards Suzuki Black and C9. I think E-Star has a chance, but there's some things that we'll be talking about on why they might actually have a really struggle.
Yeah. And what do you think is the big underdog team that can kind of surprise everyone, that's going to do better than most people expect?
NYI or Naventic. I think both of those teams have a lot of potential, and it's whether or not they're able to shave it kind of down here. And we are going to be watching Naventic being one of the first teams going to be taking it off, so they're going to establish dominance early.
We're going to see how they do. It looks like we do have our Ritos out, Renovatia and Dragonshire. I'm not surprised seeing Dragonshire taken out by Renovatia. They're obviously paying attention to the aggressive team that is Naventic.
Yeah, actually, this shows a lot of homework. Naventic, Garden of Terror is one of Naventic's least favorite maps, and Dragonshire is one of their favorites.
Yeah.
So already showing Renovatia, maybe being the underdogs, they did their homework.
Dude, I mean, this is a big, big tournament, so no doubt about that. Of course, we're going to have this match on the stream afterwards. That'll be cast by myself and Caldor, so definitely stay there. Edward Gaming's a really exciting team. We're going to have a lot of fun with that one.
Yeah.
And, of course, the Australians from Negative Synergy, by far the best Australian team, crushing all competition down there.
Yeah, and the irony of their name, they're known for being one of the most wombo combo-centric teams, and then they just go, we're Negative Synergy.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. You know, fooling the rest of the competition if they didn't do their homework. So.
Yeah. Well, I think everyone here is going to have done their homework. Like, you know, actually, to be honest, the team that I found it the hardest to find a lot of information about is this first team, Renovatia.
Yeah, I agree. Renovatia, and then actually for one of the more popular regions, China as a whole, when they qualified, that was the Taronda meta, if you will, right? So we haven't seen very many games from them since then, and how well they've evolved their own meta. Everybody's coming here like, what's China doing? And E-Star has been an internationally respected team for a long time.
Yeah, that's very interesting because they never really get to travel. It's kind of crazy to see them finally get to one of these events. But as you were saying, there's some kind of like factors that are kind of out of everyone's control. Shao T actually not going to be able to play. But let's go ahead and take a quick look at these interviews before we get into this first game.
Naventic, playing for North America, and I play range carry. We basically have very different ideas on how to play the game moving forward, so that's pretty much that.
Well, the ancient spear of Zuna takes out Rengar, penetrating as you see on the left side.
I say lots of it, and then I see someone make a mistake, and I really want to punish them. And sometimes it makes me look really good, and other times it makes me doesn't make sense.
South Korea, like the mecca of esports, means a lot to me.
I'm really proud of my team, how far we've made it, and if we play to our strengths, I think we can get to the grand finals. Go Naventic. 감사합니다. Done. Right there.
Renovatia from Philippines. Very proud because in Philippines our esports is not that big. Winning this will make us our esports bigger.
I feel very excited, and we also did not expect the event to be much more bigger than this. And I feel very excited, and this is also my first time competing with the world stage.
We study our enemy team very thoroughly, and we are very aggressive.
I'm very confident that we can make it at least top 3 or top 4 in the
It will be very hard. This is world stage, but we will do our best.
We always talk about this very important, and we're very excited.
Hello, hello. Okay, well, hopefully you guys hear us on the stream. Who knows? Here we go.
Naventic there, as we talked about, I kind of knew these teams very well. And again, moving Fan actually is debatably the most successful Heroes of the Storm player, with winning Heroes of the Dorm the first time around, and also winning BlizzCon in 2015. There, he's very a very credited hero or player here. Zeratul is going to be something that's interesting to see how it is implemented, because NA values Zeratul very, very highly in the regions.
Yeah, that's actually very interesting. Like, I can't wait until NA and Korea end up playing against each other and see that kind of shift, like, especially with MVP Black, which won't pick up Zeratul as often. But, you know, coming in here today, Naventic, you said these are one of the underdog teams, which is really funny because going into the NA regionals, they were saying, look, if we lose a game, that's on us, okay? We're so good. We're going to slaughter everyone. We're going to beat them all up. And they played very well. I mean, they made it here, right? But at the end of the day, Cloud9 cleaned them up. And as you were saying, they're an underdog now.
Yeah, I think they're not only an underdog because of maybe some of the success that they've had since they qualified, but also if you look at it in qualifiers, it seems like some of the veterans are players are very veteran on their team and experienced on LAN, but when it got to the pressure moments, it seemed like they maybe had a little bit of a struggle. And whether or not that shows at the international level, I think is very, very going to be very apparent.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Renovatio here. Now, these guys, three of them, Haisukoa, Vi, and Har, were actually, they've been some of the top players in that region for a while. They were all on Bibinka, which got second place to Relics before the Las Vegas tournament last year as a qualifier at BlizzCon. So these guys have been close to the world stage before, but here they are. You know, we don't have a lot of information about them.
Yeah, we only have a couple of games that we're able to pull data from, and we are going to be looking at a little bit of some of their pick bands as this goes on to the draft and how that implements against Naventic. But Relics was a team at regionals, North American regionals last year, but they did actually surprisingly well against what was considered to be North America, who just dominate them. So showing that SEA is kind of an underestimated just region overall.
Yeah, it certainly is. And look, here's the truth of the matter. Everyone already kind of knows this, but the internet connections in some of these countries, especially island countries, gets there like later and slower. So, for instance, the Philippines, like, yeah, they've had internet for a while, but like having really good broadband for a long time so you can actually practice a professional game with low ping, that's something that, you know, this region has always struggled with. But as that gets fixed, we get better and better players rising out of a region like this.
Not only that, when they get to kind of a land circumstances like now, they could just ascend to become gods. I mean, without that ping, you know, imagine Stormbolts when you get it at like a fraction of a second quicker. You might see a lot of big plays there, but Sky Temple is going to be the map for round number 1 and absolute favorite coming out for the side of Naventic.
Yeah. What do you think, before we get into this first draft, the chances are here for Renovatio to A, take a game, B, take a series?
Take a game, pretty good odds if Naventic hasn't been able to adapt, especially because I think they're going to be worried about trying to hide strategies. And as we said, they're very underestimating when it comes to SEA region. When it comes to a series, I think if Naventic feels like their back is against the wall at all, they'll just unleash the hounds. They will not hold back, and that is when I think it will be very hard. They have to have some pocket strats to be able to do what Naventic does.
You know, I actually got to hang out a couple nights ago with Urho, McIntyre, and Fan. I was talking to them a lot, and they were saying, you know, a big problem with Naventic right now is they're playing not to lose in a lot of tournaments because they are better than so many of their opponents. But if they're going to do well here this weekend, they have to play to win. They have to, like, balls to the wall. They have to go back to their completely aggressive roots and play their game.
No, absolutely. And that is something that I think a lot of teams actually do. Beyond them, I think they do it more than others, and it shows in their play style. Even with the recent Enter the Storm, falling the Blaze, things like that. I do think they have what it takes to be a very successful team here, but again, it's going to be whether or not they show up. And you can see Zuna is very, very relaxed.
I guess so.
He's even willing to take a little bit of a power nap there before the games. You know, it shows the comfortability they have in this matchup.
Well, I tell you, they've been here long enough that jet lag shouldn't be a problem for anyone wondering about that. It's not like they flew in last night. They've been here for several days now, so hopefully that's not a problem here for Zuna.
I lived with this guy for about 6 months, but he very much is good at power napping. So, you know, he just wakes up and becomes and just ascends to the heavens. So whether or not that shows in his play here will be interesting.
Of course, the Philippine guys, they don't jet lag is not going to be an issue for them. They're just kind of south of Korea overall. So looking forward to seeing how they'll do. We've seen a little bit of a rise in Filipino pro gamers. They don't play all the same esports as we do. Like in Southeast Asia, there's a lot of like shooter games, FPS games that aren't really in the West where English speakers are, that people play and are quite good at. Things like Crossfire, Special Force, Attack, stuff like that. But for instance, we had the Filipino StarCraft player Ender get 3rd place in the ISF. That was like pretty good. He beat some good players on the way. It's an up and coming country, really.
Absolutely, when it comes to esports, and certainly we see before, but we are going to hop into the draft. So already things that I'm going to be talking about Naventic draft with guys. Number one, I think Sony is going to be a very high contender between these two teams. Also, Naventic actually loves Brightwing when it comes to Sky Temple. And Greymane being a ban out already on their side against Renovatia. Greymane is a huge contested point when looking at Renovatio's play. So homework already showing here. Castle is going to be banned out here. The first pick, I think it's going to be Li Ming here. With a ban on Greymane, Li Ming is the next best post.
Yeah, and you know what? Fans Li Ming is, for my money, the best Li Ming in the world. Like, I like his Li Ming more than I like Crazy Movings. I like it more than, basically everyone. Better than Sake's Li Ming.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. I think Fan plays tremendous Li Ming and already really powerful draft move coming out on the side of Naventic. Renovatia have a lot of things that they also prioritize compared to their opponents. Greymane, Zagara, Rhaegar, and Burden are all things that Renovatia really holds on to. Blocking in the Murs in there, I like that. Trying to choke hold onto the tanks down, but what are they going to move to? With Greymane down, are they worried about Sony? They're going to go with Brawl. So already showing Renovatia is innovating their draft compared to where they were when they qualified.
Hey, I like to see it right now. You're going to have to bring something new, because I would be very surprised if a team like Naventic didn't look into what type of heroes they like to play, the order of their drafts and whatnot, at least as much as they could.
Yeah, right there. You can see the ETC pick up for Naventic to respond with the Burden and then lock in the Zeratul. This is what I was talking about. NA loves their Zeratul. They hold on to it very closely. And how other teams are going to be able to deal with it is going to be really interesting there, especially with Tassadar already being banned out on Renovatio's side.
That's right, but at least they do have Muradin over here. Definitely a pretty good hero to use against that Zeratul. But what are you thinking for this ban for Renovatio? Do you want to try to deny a healer, or are you looking more towards another damage?
I think they're going to ban. It depends on whether or not they want Uther. If they don't want Uther, I think they'll ban out Falstad, actually. All right, so we're going to ban out the Falstad. Really powerful pickup, but it kind of shows that they didn't want to play Falstad in this matchup, which is interesting considering he's one of the more dominant heroes in the current meta there. And also, Uther is going to be something that I think they'll be worried about now with the pickup of ETC for Naventic.
Yeah, it definitely could be. I wouldn't be surprised if Renovatio just takes Uther up in this next pick here. Yeah. Especially with that Falstad ban. So let's see what we have banned from Team Naventic.
Yeah, I feel like there's been a little bit of Zagara prioritization when you look at Renovatio. Naventic is actually concerned about that. If Zagara is something that they're worried about or they're willing to let them have, they ban it out. So there it goes. They show that. I agree with you. I think Uther is almost a must-have on Renovatio's side right now.
I would definitely say so. And of course, they do need some range poke here. So what are you looking at as far as that?
Honestly, with the Falstad ban, it feels like they banned themselves out, especially with the grasp of the Zagara. I feel like they're falling back to maybe like a Bala or a Jaina, which is something a Tyrande Jaina. This is something that they've done quite a bit, not so much on this map, but they actually they love Miranda, Vernon, Jaina, Tyrande as a pairing, and that might be something they go to. There it is.
All right, the Jaina picked up. Will they go for that Tyrande? If they do, though, Uther goes to the other side with ETC, and that can be very deadly indeed.
Absolutely, especially with Zeratul Void Prison the setup. I mean, it's just going to be 1, 2, 3, everybody dies. So we're going to see how this works out here.
I hate it when that happens.
Renovatio is in a very tough spot when it comes to this draft right now, and I want to see if they have something that none of us are kind of expecting that they're able to pull out.
All right, let's see what this pick is. Would be very surprised once again if it is not a healer. It does be Uther. This makes a lot of sense.
That's a call-out saying that they're not going to pick Tyrande. Well, not really, because they had no option, but I think Naventic is not afraid to take Tyrande here. I don't think there's anything that is making them, like, the ETC Tyrande is a great pairing as well, and it's a good deny, so I wouldn't be surprised to see a Tyrande coming up from them.
What would you like them to fill out with in addition to something like a Tyrande?
That's a very good question. I think that there's very few DPS options left on specifically. I don't know where I think they would go directly. I think that they might run it with a Karzim as like a double healer style.
Okay.
It's something that they aren't afraid to do.
What about some like better lane clear? Like, it could be a Sonya. Zul is still on the table. The thing is, I don't see them being able to clear the lanes out that well. Like, Zeratul is their best so far.
I agree. They struggle a little bit when it comes to wave clear. They have very few heroes that can do with Brawl, and that's something that I know they're considering when it comes to this draft. They're already showing heavy kind of adaptation in Naventic's draft already, which is why I feel like it's a little bit harder to predict where they're moving, especially with the Gray win.
Yeah. Really interesting to see that taken off right away. I think that's going to be one of the heroes that we see basically in every single game, whether it's a ban or a pick.
There's the pick up there. Where do they round it out with? What do you think?
I'm going to go with the Zool, maybe?
I agree.
There we go, our sound is back.
Sorry about
Okay, hopefully we get through all these hiccups. It's day one, so not surprised. But anyways, I would say like a Zool would be pretty nice here. They definitely need a lot of lane clear, and I mean, Zool's Bone Prison is like pretty dumb, right?
Well, it pairs with Toronto really well, right? So it's like you get into range of Zool, and it's like you count down, there's like 1, 2, and it's like everybody only, it's a double vulnerability option for 16 as well. So they go with the double support instead. Rhaegar, I like it. It provides a lot to their comp, and I think it's a safe play. Yeah. Again, maybe moving towards playing to not win, like, but to not lose. But it's a safe play up here. Renovatia now looking to figure out how to go this out.
That looks to me like my insanity draft over there for Naventic, but yeah. All right, so for Renovatio, how do we fill this one out?
Ball is something that they're showing they kind of like, but I don't know if I feel like it's the best option in this type of situation. It's going to be interesting to see. I think that they have to pull something surprising out of the situation. I don't think they're going to run a double melee. Sonya is something that they've punched onto very heavily in the past, but making it all the way through the draft so far.
You know, I could see them going with something like a Zool here as well. Maybe I'm just a Zool fanboy, but I see Jaina with her, her Blizzard there. We have Uther with the stun. We have the Root on throw. We have the stun on Muradin. Like, people die in Bone Prison every single day. It's an epidemic.
You're absolutely right there. And they're going to be pulling them a couple of seconds left here to figure it out. But I agree with you. I think Zool is a hero. We're going to see very interesting fluctuation when it comes to the and Raynor.
Did not expect this at all.
I agree with you. He's going to be sitting back. He produces a large amount of raw damage, but when you consider the kill potential on the side of Naventic, it's just going to be it's very, very scary.
It's kind of weird. I mean, he is an additional nice range stun, so ETC is not really going to have an easy time, getting his mosh off. But I am very surprised at that Raynor pick. I feel like they could have gone in another direction there.
Yeah, no, I agree with you very much. It just feels like I specifically think the false set is why that draft started pulling away, and you're like, uh-oh, because they had to choose between Toronto and Uther. That alone was like, guys, this is going to hurt either way. And then it was like, what do we want to get DPS-wise? And then it was like, we're just going to bet on false set if we don't have that later on. And this is a pattern that they kind of showed in the drafts while they were qualifying as well. So maybe not adapting as well as some of the other regions right now when it comes to this clash of metas.
All right, so you're definitely giving it to Naventic then as far as the draft goes?
I think that I would put it that I think Renovatio has a comp that can always punish an opponent for their mistakes.
Yeah.
But I do think that Naventic got a lot of what they wanted, and that is about all it takes, especially when facing the underdog story that we see here today.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I definitely do have to go with him. I feel like this was an absolutely fantastic draft here for Naventic. I'm just so confused by that Raynor pick. I don't know what he's going to do to make it work out for his team.
It just puts him in a situation to where he does produce a lot of raw damage, but again, it's the survivability opportunity that he's going to have. I just don't know if he really has it here moving into it with this draft. But honestly, Renovatio, I'm not going to count him out. Again, I think that they have a comp where it's like all it takes is one mistake in overcommitting to Raynor, a good D-shield, and that Jaina, if she goes ring or well, either way, the chase potential coming out from them is going to be huge. So I'm not counting them out.
Alrighty, well, it looks like we're going to go ahead and get into this game, guys. We're going to have Renovatio in red on the right-hand side of the map, and of course in the I love that so much. That owl coming over and just poking. It's like, oh, we're all going to the middle gate? Okay, cool. But, of course, we do have Team Naventic over on the left-hand side in the blue. Guys, tell your friends the Heroes Championship of Spring has started.
Yeah, and already look at that. Rhaegar level 1 going with movement speed right out the gate, so already kind of breaking a little bit from the meta. And that might be something that's already been learned here when it comes to scrimmaging against the foreign teams. Asia specifically actually likes that talent far more than North America, so already showing adaptation here when it comes to their drafts, or their talent order.
Yeah, and it looks like we actually do have the Owls being taken here, the Sentinel for Taronda, so maybe one of these poke healing type builds going on, but it looks like we will have a little bit of a fight here in the middle.
Yeah, and they're both going to be posturing out, looking to try and get a little wave here. And again, one mistake on the side of Renovatio, and just the ETC Toronto combo can really just kind of blow them out of proportion. Zuna's going to be a good person to be looking at here as well, because he provides a lot when it comes to kill potential on the side of Naventic.
All right, well, it looks like right now Urho is waiting to see, maybe Thrall will go into the wrong area of the lane.
Yeah, there it is. He's already going to get stunned out.
Oh, man, and bam, just blown up in a matter of seconds here. We actually do have Mervin over on Renovatio's side pushing him back, but is Zeratul going to remain as the solo laner up here?
Yeah, because the kill potential between ETC Toronto is far higher than Zeratul roaming with Toronto, it's just easier to keep Zeratul in the lane. Actually, one thing a lot of people don't realize is Zeratul's a pretty good laner.
Yeah.
He's actually underestimatably strong because of his ability to move around the minions without drawing the aggro, because he's a stealthy. So it's going to be something we can see for the rest of this game already. Look at, here it goes, Urho going in for the stun, actually missing, and Zuna getting stunned out, Jada coming out, and that's a huge pick. That's right before the map objective.
Yeah, that's a pretty big deal right there to take him down so quickly. But as you said, one time you're out of position here, and Renovatio is going to punish you.
Absolutely, and Kemma's bodying in the bottom lane with that 1v1. Rhaegar just a strong laner here, and both teams looking like they're postured to trade the shrines. I'd like to see a very aggressive rotation coming out on the side of Renovatio, because they got that small pick. I think they're being a little bit too passive, not gaining as much as they might be able to.
Well, right now they are all soaking every lane that they possibly can while trading towers here. We do have Fan moving in, and
he stole the XP. He stole the XP there. For those who don't know, the Guardian actually provides a large amount of XP, but Zuna coming in, getting the W off McIntyre, not in range for the Lunar Flare, but he might get turned on.
All right, well, it looks like he will back up towards this shrine. Urho actually backing out right now, and they're going to start stealing some shots. Good moves here by Renovatio.
I just feel like it's about 10 seconds too late. They had the advantage, and yes, they are trying to make something happen here, but essentially they're going blow for blow with Naventic, even though they had a minor lead. Not the end of the world, but definitely maybe not min-maxing as well as they could be.
Okay, well, I got to ask you, before we get into the second shrine, what do you think of Renovatio's play so far against a world-class team like Naventic?
I think that they're doing very well so far. The question is, honestly, I feel like when you look at Sky Temple, the bottom shrine's really what decides what's a good and bad team and how they play it. So when we round around there, I'll let you know whether or not the stun combo comes into play. But we do see Zuna actually picking up the Vorpal Blade build here. Not uncommon at all when it comes to North American Zeratul.
All right, well, right now we do have those giants being grabbed down at the bottom by Naventic. Just moments afterwards, Renovatio trying to get it, but it looks like we have an invade here by Naventic, sliding right in. They're going to get a pick here. It looks like maybe on Stronger. No, he is back out. Oh, picked off by the Sentinel.
Yeah, and that's going to be a cap there. That's going to be Uther going down. That's a double giants on the bottom half of the map. That's going to force an immense amount of resources on the side of Renovatio. Raynor's not the best clear in the world. This is a big lead and stepping stone for Naventic and scaling that advantage before the second shrine.
Yeah, really working out for them. That is what they're known for, is invading on their opponent's side of the map, stealing those Merc camps, and they did it just perfectly. It seems like Renovatio is just a few seconds too slow on everything so far.
Yeah, they're just a little bit behind her, and Envy's actually going to be stunned out as well. I don't think he's going to be able to survive this. No, that will be a Thrall going down. Keep in mind, double giants still pushing on the bottom half of the map here, just taking out an immense amount of damage. And one thing people underestimate on this map is for every structured damage you get, the more value the next shrine gets, right? So that wasn't a lot, but that is the faster that the damage the giants did there, the better lead that Naventic gets during the second shrine.
And look, we're almost at a full level lead already here. And oh man, they actually screw up trying to take that bruiser camp. Luther kind of running out, and then Jaina walking away. Look at that, they all leash and heal up.
Yeah, they're trying
some mistakes.
They're trying to get the timing here, which they are going to get it properly, honestly. But look at, because Naventic has this a little bit more efficiently with the timing, they're going to win in this rotation even faster. The first one to get on the map objective always is going to gain a large lead, especially with this level advantage. So I would like to see Renovatio not contest, honestly. They're far enough behind that soak is the most relevant thing at this point. They aren't going to be able to win this contention in the long run.
All right, well, right now they are going to release those bruiser camp up at the top, already on the map for Team Naventic. So I definitely do agree with you. If they go ahead and they start soaking, maybe they can push a couple towers up top after clearing their opponent's bruisers.
Again, you see they just finished the cap on the bruisers while the shrine's already being captured on the side of Naventic. It very much feels, like you said earlier, it's almost like a 10-second lag, right, when it comes to the decision-making from Renovatio. And it shows that they know what they're doing, and they definitely have an opportunity to make a comeback here with their smart play, but they need to be very time-sensitive with their choices.
Well, it looks like we do actually have Jaina and Uther up top here. They clean that out very quickly.
So 10's going to be hit by Naventic, and Void is very, very good at forcing these poor decision-making with the rotations here. If they end up hitting 10, I would very much expect Naventic to make a very aggressive rotation.
All right, well, right now they are rotating up to try to save that top fort right now. We do have laning going on in the middle of the map as well. Raynor trying to keep that bottom lane back, but already losing the fort down there, and level 10 has been reached.
Yeah, and they're already going to be very, very aggressive. Rhaegar actually getting caught out, not able to ancestral himself. He might be going down. He does, but keep in mind, 10 still not picked up for Renovatio, and Naventic doesn't respond. So very good job making up a win when you actually should be falling farther behind.
Yeah, a big mistake there by Kenma being picked off there. I mean, he even has that wolf speed, man. That's a little bit sad for them after reaching 10, having this early game advantage, but it really doesn't come out to anything.
Yeah, you see them, even with a 4 versus 5, Naventic posturing aggressively. That shows how big the advantage at level 10 is. You just force any kind of fight that you absolutely can there. So now let's look, it's scaled the XP a little bit more balanced, right? But look at structures. There's already going to be 1 fort down on the side of Naventic, also a front gate on the upper half of the map, and the bottom mid fort's a little bit vulnerable as well. So now we're in a situation where every shrine, even though if they trade, Naventic is far ahead of their opponents.
All right, well, Renovatio is going to have to make something happen, but so far, I mean, their team fights have been nice. It's when they get picked like this, once again, it looks like we're even going to have a Muradin taken out here.
Yeah, Dwartos and Avatar coming out to try and keep him alive, but even if this fight is going to be forced here, honestly, Naventic might turn, honestly. There was a lot of cooldowns going to be birthed there. Raiders also going on cooldown, so they do survive, but, I mean, at what cost, really?
Yeah, at what cost, indeed, Dreadnought. But look, all right, they've gotten their giants out. They're trying to push some of these lanes back. And so far they aren't dying. It looks like Muradin taking a lot of damage here. Once again, don't forget, he does have it up, and a big Sunder comes down.
That's actually huge. That was a situation where Zeratul was going to avoid, save it, and get a rotation from his team. So now we see, even though the Miranda comp sitting on the side of Naventic, it feels like the picks are happening the other way around. Renovatio maybe getting a little bit too cocky with their rotations here.
All right, well, you know, I'm a little bit worried here. Zuna with 2 deaths already. You know, there's definitely some memes out there about that. Hopefully he doesn't tilt too much, but another pickoff does occur here.
Yeah, on the side of Naventic, so that's how it should be there. And I think that's a good step. It shows that they're playing the comp a little bit better. They do have a small advantage when it comes to time. One thing to be looking at when this middle shrine spawns the way that it is now is sight is absolutely crucial. Whoever controls vision has a big advantage because it has a double flank from the upper half. So you see Zuna ensuring the sight stone there. Really smart play, and now they'll be able to have a far better contention over this area.
All right, well, it looks like they are getting all these shots for the time being. Muradin making his way back as he has been revived, and they're just going to go down and trade. But this is what you were talking about before. Trading, they're going to get further behind. And the thing is, the top temple is going to be, ran out so quickly.
That's it,
They can come down and pressure for the bottom as well.
Yeah, so this is the thing, is when whoever gets, when I was talking about time sensitivity, right? If you're on the map objective before your opponents, you can always rotate to answer the other map objective. So here we see right at the gates. Now they've finished the shrine. They have 13 tier advantage. You're going to see Zuna go down and very much force a fight. You see Har here getting the stun out, trying to zone, but it's not going to be enough. And then bam, you see that Renovatio understanding that that was very, very scary. But now, again, instead of 1 shrine going in favor of Naventic, we see 2 just because they're faster to get to the map objective.
Yeah, and look, I mean, as you said, that 13 tier advantage, it's a gigantic deal. So I'm really happy that Renovatio just gives it up, rather lose a little bit more damage on their buildings rather than just die in a 12 versus 13 battle.
Yeah, and this is even a situation where Naventic structurally being so far ahead is just sheerly out-rotating their opponents and outplaying them. It's not even like you see a situation Toronto has the opportunity to maybe take a mule, right? And she didn't in this type of situation, and they still show a significant lead over their opponents. So showing the power that exists within the North American region and Naventic, even if they pulled only second.
Yeah, well, it looks like we do have this bruiser camp being taken right now by Renovation. Kind of spread around the map right now, clearing out those giants at the bottom, Arthral and Muradin. But Naventic is starting to move around a lot more as a team, maybe looking to grab a couple picks before the next temple.
Yeah, where they can, they definitely will. And an interesting thing when you've looked at this game, there's never been a true team fight yet. This entire game has just been constantly out-rotating one another, looking for the picks. And honestly, with Renovatio's composition, I'm pretty impressed that they've kept in this well without there being a genuine team fight, because when you look at ETC Toronto comps, you just expect an immense amount of picks. And they've done a pretty good job at balancing the scales. So it shows that they know what they're doing and they have very heads-up play, and that they have the ability to make a lead here. You see the aggressive posturing here. Really good choice in order to try and make something happen even though they're behind.
Yeah, and it looks like we do have level 13 for Renovatio here. And, this is a cool move. We actually have Raynor taking the pushback on 13 as opposed to Giant Killer. Yeah. Something that we've actually seen Koreans do against ETC specifically in the past.
Yeah, and he actually just procced it right there. You see Zeratul rotating down. This might be very scary. If he doesn't get sighted out here, Har needs to see the Zeratul.
Well, looks like Zuna will deal a little bit of damage to Har.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, I'm very disappointed did not play Falstad with the pirate skin.
That would be rather fitting. So now 16 tier is going to be rounded out for Naventic. All they need to be doing at this point, not picking up. They're actually trying to force a boss here. This is very risky. They understand that they're going to be backing out.
All right.
They just need to get 16, wait for the next shrine, and then force a fight because 16 is the third most powerful talent here in the entire game.
Yeah, in fact, I think it was you that said it very well in one of these other qualifiers. When you get close to 16, way ahead of your opponent, you should run from every fight. Like,
Absolutely.
You have to just get that 16 because that's where you can ensure your victory in the game.
My thought process when it comes to a lot of that is sometimes when you're decision-making as a team, you shouldn't be asking yourself, how do I win? You should ask yourself, what's the only way I can lose?
Yeah.
And I think that's a prime example. Like right here, it's like this is one of the few fights that's going to be on even footing. So Naventic's patience is absolutely crucial.
All right, well, they are being very patient. They are about a millimeter away from that level 16. Right now, Renovatia moving north on the map.
That is going to be, I didn't get to see the full shots when it started. I believe this will not get a keep. It will be very, very close. It's going to be very close on whether it ensures a keep, unless they decide to siege up here. And you see Renovatio soaking, understand they can't take the fight, but this is going to be a keep for them. Envy getting cut out.
Well, he does use his Sunder to try to get out. Doesn't look like it's going to end up working. Zuna going to go ahead and blink right in to kill him off. Oh, that is a big misplay there.
Yeah, that was huge. And he was just getting a little bit too greedy trying to min-max the soak to compensate for their disadvantage here. Zuna's going to force this fight most likely with the Void Prison. And actually, without ETC, you might be a little bit more patient here, but they're going to try and make something happen. 16 tier advantage, 4 versus 4. I would like to see Naventic be very, very aggressive as they're known for.
Yeah, they are pushing forward here. I think they want to make sure that they do end up getting this keep because, as you said, they probably won't quite get it. Oh, and nice sword toss away there by Har, though.
Yeah, and they were able to ensure that that keep there with the shots. Mid having a little bit of damage. It won't be leading to a keep if the shrines are capping only on that one for the next rotation. So Naventic getting a large lead. Again, not a true team fight being forced in the team, just constant dancing back and forth.
All right, well, I mean, they're playing a fantastic game right now. Me personally, being a StarCraft guy, I like to see games won without team fights, where it doesn't come down to everyone executing these things, but rather just rotating around the map, getting those objectives, and forcing the opposing team into making bad decisions.
Absolutely. I think that's a very, I agree with you. I think the decision-making approach to the kind of game is very, very interesting, and I find that really appealing as well.
That's why I like Blackheart's Bay so much.
Yeah. One thing to be looking at, though, when it comes to talent choices, imposing presence picked up on ECC, so Raynor, if he gets any auto attacks onto that target, he will be struggling a little bit, putting his damage as optimally as he would like to, and typically when you see Rainer's Raiders, it's to kill the front line, so that will be a little bit of a struggle. Already taking a large amount of poke there from Fan on that Li Ming once again.
All right, well, it looks like they are continuing to kind of poke in here. They do have that level 16. They're definitely going to need to get something done coming up. There's going to have to be a fight. They cannot continue to trade temples.
So, yeah, so they need to force fights, and when they force the fight, I'd actually like to see them pull away from the shrine. You can gain more by essentially forcing a win condition in one specific lane than you can by waiting out the temples, because look at every temple, even if Naventic wipes a team fight and just like attempts to trade shrines, anything, they're only getting forts, and they're only getting forts for a very long time. So Renovatio needs to look open win conditions, right? Rather than getting a fort, get a fort and then start worrying on the keep from wall as heroes rather than using the temples to siege, which is an uncommon strategy and very low. Typically mid-level players don't understand that style of play.
Oh man, a big Void Prism actually coming out right now. Stronger trying to get out of here. Oh, and doesn't look like he quite gets the Mosh Air. Nice Sunder does come down to push him back for the time being.
Yeah, and oh my goodness, Jane is going to be ice blocking there, and she will be end up. Oh, D-shielding out. She'll still fall, though. That will get a reset on the side of Li Ming. Oh, great Lunar Flare there to ensure the kill onto Stronger. And again, Naventic kind of establishing dominance on the map here again with the mech objective up. They will be securing almost a double keep here. Almost, but not quite.
Yeah, this is pretty rough. Like, okay, they're just going to try to finish, I guess? Yeah.
This is something I think they can get away with, but they don't have Void Prison. So they have no zoning tools whatsoever. This is very risky decision-making here. I don't think that they're going to... The Sunder is not going to be up to be a disengaged. Avatar is going to be here, but I don't think this is 100% confidence. Yeah, you see Naventic moving in very aggressively. I don't think they have this. This was a very bold move.
It certainly is, and it looks like they've almost got Har. He will run out of range right there, and in fact, they are chasing him back. You know, both the temples still up at the moment.
Yeah, and this is what we were talking about when it was kind of like showing that they may be, when it comes to the big stage, not understanding, like showing their nerves a little bit, and that was very much a situation. They just risked essentially a double keep, almost double keep play, which inevitably would have led to the keeps anyways, and a huge lead later on to risking a team fight at that point and trying to end the game. I don't know. If they had Void, I think it was an option. But without Void, it was like, what are you going to zone your tool, like your opponents with there? So very big misplay on the side of Naventic.
All right, well, we'll see. Maybe Renovatia can come back after that type of misplay, but they can't really be letting him take any temples. I think they still have to force his team fight, considering Naventic is on level 19. If they hit those storm talents, the game is just over.
And they're in a situation to where you just saw Naventic burn a large amount of cooldowns, right? Void Prison just came off, and instead they're going to wait for the major cooldowns to be coming up on the side of Naventic, and that might be a misplay. Har getting very stuck out here. I don't think he's going to be able to survive. He will, actually. Huge Thunder, and Void Prison is counter-engaged.
All right, well, it looks like right now... Oh, actually kind of wasting Fans Heroic there on the Disintegrate. They are going to go ahead and chase him back out. We do have that Shadow Stalk coming down.
Yeah, this is really interesting dance. You see Naventic's very worried about taking this fight before they had 20, and now we finally see Renovatio understands how they need to win this game. They're like, guys, we need to fight our opponents right here. And with Void Prison burnt, essentially Mosh Pit is one of the only major cooldowns remaining on their side. They try to get the force here.
All right, well, it looks like, just barely missing that stun on Urho, and in fact, do get a Blizzard off. He does have to power slide out.
That was an amazing Lunar Flare on the side of, oh my gosh, that was very well done on the side of McIntyre to secure the kill on Jaina.
Now it's a 5 versus 4. They are going to have to turn around and run a level down as well. This could be lights out for Renovation if they lose it here. Zuna jumping in, but not a lot of damage done to Misery Procs.
Oh, that was a very early Rhaegar Ancestral there, but it's not going to matter at this point. Har is very, very zoned out. D-Shield's going to be down, but I don't think it's going to matter. Li Ming trying to get a reset.
Ooh, so much damage put out by Fan. They're hitting 2 at once. Right now, Stronger taking a lot of damage as well. Does get to back out, but Zuna is on the case. Does take him out. Another reset there for Fan.
Yeah, and you just saw the focus fire there. Very, very weak on the side of Naventic. Everybody barely falling down, but not securing a kill. Exactly the opposite of what you want to see when you're Li Ming and when you have a Toronto in your team. So, again, maybe a little bit of the emotions coming into play here. They posture around the boss, something that they most likely are going to be able to get here. Sunder is on one of the only tools Renovatio has, essentially, with the 20 talents here also picked up on the side of Naventic. Void Prison, 7 seconds. It's most likely going to be theirs.
All right, well, I mean, Naventic has played a very nice game here. Definitely a few mistakes here and there on both sides, but, you know, from here, getting this boss in that lane that
Sunder's
has
burnt.
Oh, man. Well, and the Sunder isn't the only thing burnt here, my friend.
He does end up going down. I think this is going to be GG here with a major win on the side of Naventic, but that was a very bold move to try and force that 3 versus 5. At the same time, if you wait out for the shrines, right, when you're Renovatio, you are so far behind structurally that you need to force the fight there. So they end up taking a fight that was definitely a little bit desperate, and it leads to maybe a falling behind. But I'm going to be sure that I think this is the time where Naventic actually will be able to right-click the core.
Yeah, it does look like it. The boss is going to right-click the core for them while everyone attacks them. So, yeah, I've seen this before. It looks like the first game in this series going to be going to Team Naventic from USA.
Absolutely, and again, kind of showing even at this point, maybe not totally concentrating, maybe a little bit of fanciness there, trying to kill more people rather than worrying about the core. But I think that was why I was worried about Naventic coming into this tournament. I think they pretty much just articulated every one of my fears within one game against a region that is debatably going to be one of the underdogs, as we said. And it's not like you can look at Naventic and be like, well, they were hiding strategies, because they pretty much just played their game as straightforward as you would expect.
Yeah, I mean, that looked completely like a Naventic draft. It looked completely like Naventic play. Zuna died a couple times, but then ended up getting big kills. Like, that had Naventic written all over it.
Yeah.
Now, Renovatio, on the other hand, this is like the first game that they played against a team really of this caliber, I would say, you know, at least on a stage. So I would say overall they showed good understanding of what to do. They were late a lot of the time, but especially towards the end, they were showing like, okay, we understand what's going on here. We're trying to do the right thing, but at the end of the day, you know, one pick on Jaina and the fight's over.
Yeah, no, it was, and that's the struggle of especially facing kind of like a Zeratul here. But this was a very big play on their side at this point. I was disappointed in the attempt that the Mosh Pit didn't get a little bit more success there. Really good counter Sunder, but there was a play specifically in that game that I wanted to point out. McIntyre with his Lunar Flare on Jaina. So Jaina ended up getting bursted down very, very heavily, using an Ice Block to try and survive, and then he timed his Lunar Flare to where if she didn't stop her Ice Block early and move out of the way, she was going to die. But if she did that, she was dead anyway. So he literally put her in a lose-lose situation. Right here. Look at the Lunar Flare. Perfect hit.
Wow, that was pretty sick,
It was really well done on his part there.
And that's where it turned. That was like the end of the game. I mean, you're 4 versus 5. They're going to be hitting 20. You have 2 keeps left only. Everything is wrong at that point.
Yeah, I mean, it just, sometimes it gets so far behind, it's just like, you got to just be like, guys, this isn't a realistic win, but we got to do our best. We got to try and, we got to do what's improbable, but it's our best option at this point. So.
Indeed. A tough game there for Renovatia.
I think they showed a very solid understanding of the game, like an impressive level. So specifically the rotation to the bottom half of the shrines after they got a pick. They were a little bit far behind. They got picked on, excuse me. And they rotated down. They were 13 tier and they're trying to trade shrines. And they knew Naventic had 13 tier advantage and was going to force a fight. And they were very patient with it. And I think that seems like it's very straightforward, but it's actually, that was a very well heads-up play on their half. They very much know how to win the game. It's just that it didn't pan out for them that round.
Okay, I gotta ask you, as far as the Raynor pick, how do you think Raynor actually played out in that game?
Unimpressive would be a pretty good way to word it, and I don't think that was the player on the hero by any means. It was just more of the draft in itself, and it's fitting within the role and the comp. And I think that came down to their fall step ban, which is something we've seen them do while they qualified. And if they move into that again, I will be very fearful of kind of maybe the remainder of their success in this tournament if they don't adapt that draft, because Falstead is an absolute chokehold point with all of North America, a lot of Europe, and I think we're going to see that a lot when it comes to the Asian regions as well.
Yeah. But maybe they just aren't, comfortable with Falstad.
I think that's it. I honestly feel like with how patterned it's been, they just aren't comfortable on it.
And I gotta say, Raynor is definitely the easy version of Falstad, right? I mean, that's the way I look at him. Yeah, he's much easier to use. Definitely a good hero, puts out a lot of damage and whatnot. But in this meta, I've seen him almost never.
Yeah, no, he definitely fell out when he got nerfed with focus attacks and his general stun duration. Things like that came into play, and he kind of fell out of favor. So I would like to see them maybe adapt a little bit in the draft. I think Battlefield of His Eternity is definitely a map that they can have success on, but at the same time, this is Naventic's home turf.
Yeah.
This is one of their favorite maps, without a doubt. They take anybody there. They are very comfortable, and they also mirror MVP a lot when it comes to their kind of strategies when it comes to this map. MVP is one of the only teams that really likes to run a 4-man defense and then a 1-man kind of offense with it used to be Zagara was very good at it, right? And we see that Naventic is one of the few that kind of hones onto that strategy as well, maybe a little bit too much, so it can be abused as well.
All right. What would be the ideal draft here for Renovatia, just real quick before we get this started?
I think Sonya is going to be something we're looking at. I think Toronto might be something that they're going to want as well. Greymane is huge for their success, which we saw Naventic very heads up lead their ban in the first round between these two teams. So they're the ones with the chokehold here. They have a lot of options here. I think Greymane is a must-have for them.
All right. Let's see. Naventic, of course, will have a chance to ban out that Greymane. Definitely a hero that Renovatia does enjoy.
Yeah, it's not only that, he's very good on a majority of maps as well.
He's like a #1 pick for MVP Black. He is super popular in Korea right now.
Yeah, I think almost every region. The only one that I wouldn't argue that is China, but that's only because the lack of games that we're able to see from them.
Yeah.
So it's not so much that they don't value it more than anything. It's just that they're very well hidden region when it comes to research.
Certainly.
Burden going to be the ban though.
Okay, that's kind of interesting. I mean, maybe thinking that they can pick up ETC in their second or third pick?
Yeah, I think it'll be their second rotation. I don't think there's any way they first pick it. So I don't want Naventic to ban Li Ming or Greymane. I think that they need that in their picks, and I think they really want a Thrall as well. They ban out the Greymane. Okay, so this leaves Renovatia, I think, of Li Ming first pick. That shows how much Naventic is very fearful of their Greymane. Also, keep in mind, Naventic lower prioritization of Greymane almost than every other team here, except for, again, the Chinese teams, which are hard to study.
That's really interesting because he is just so popular right now. But, I mean, if they were to use Greymane, would they put it on McIntyre or?
I don't know specifically who they would probably put it on. And that might be half the reason that they don't do it in the first place.
It doesn't really fit anyone, right? Okay, so Li Ming picked up right off the bat here for Renovatia.
It's one of her best maps, and then you see Naventic. Okay, they move into the ETC because of the chokehold and the Thrall. Personally, I think I would have liked to see them leave open the Greymane and get a DPS in that area rather than the ETC. I personally don't care about ETC as high as the majority of the teams, especially in North America, but it's a great rotation for them. I think Renovatia goes Sonya.
I would not be surprised there at all. Sonya, absolutely fantastic on this map, can deal so much damage to those Immortals very quickly. But to the ETC pick just really quick, because I have Dreadnought sitting next to me so I can learn a whole hell of a lot. Doesn't this ETC pick kind of make Renovatia feel stupid about the Muradin ban?
I don't know if I would say stupid about it, because they're going to get a situation where they get exactly what they want now because they force an early pick on the side of ETC, or on the side of Naventic, right? Zagara is an absolute clutch pick on the side of Renovatia, which was a heads-up ban last round. I'm going to straight up say I don't like this pick here. I think it's far too high in the rotation value, especially with the bold bans that Renovatia has made. I'm not saying that they can't pull it out because they very much love it, but I personally feel like this is too high prioritization on this map specifically.
All right. Well, what are you looking at as this next pick? Are they going to go ahead and pick up their healer? The pick of the litter for that?
Rhaegar is one that they really like, but they're afraid of the Zeratul. Again, this is set number 1 here. We already see. I told you, I feel like NA is going to implement Zeratul into every region slowly but surely. Somebody's going to have to be fearful, and already out the gates, Renovatia was like, guys, that hurt.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Zuna was taking on Muradin in that last game. It was like pretty impressive play there. So you think this is more of a denial pick rather than something that they truly wanted? Or?
Yeah, I think this is because they feel like they have to ban Falstad.
Okay, yeah.
I
think you're right. They will ban Falstad. I really feel that.
But like traditionally, most teams would say, why not just pick Falstad into that type of situation? Also, Naventic banning the Uther, which it would have been a pick that they traditionally want. In this type of situation, the pairing there. So so this might be telling because Naventic is one of the few that actually really values Morales when it comes to Battlefield of Eternity. I don't know if it fits their comp right now, but it is something that they're very well known. Specifically, Kenma plays probably more. His hero pool is more diverse than almost every other support. Not so much his hero pool, but like their version of the meta. Every support's an option. Tyrande.
That would be really cool to see.
Falstad, no doubt. I don't think Naventic doesn't even wait. Like the fact that they haven't locked it in surprised me. I can't see them giving up such a valuable DPS. It's not his best map, but I mean, he just shows great skill and influence in maps when in a meta. So.
Alrighty, and if you're right about that Morales, they definitely don't need to pick her up till last. I can't imagine Renovatio taking Morales as their healer here.
No, I agree with you. I think that would be a very painful situation for Renovatio. Malfurion's also something on Battlefield of Eternity specifically that we might be worried about. I think both teams have the option. On Renovatio's side, I actually kind of prefer Malfurion, largely because he provides a lot of DPS when it comes to the Immortal, but not only that, he puts in a situation to where he's a great follow-up to Zagara and to Zeratul. The roots afterwards, post-16, are very, very scary. So Tacit are going to be picked up, not uncommon.
And it has to be a Falstad, right?
I think so, but I mean, you know...
well, they need a ranged DPS here. And, they're going to grab Rhaegar.
They're calling him out because they have no DPS. That's pretty much it. Or they have all their DPS, so they're going to wait on the Falstad. But the Falstad later on in the draft is an absolute must for Naventic.
All right, so we do need a healer and a tank over here on Renovatio's side. Johanna just the one you take?
I think so.
I would imagine.
She's just very, very powerful compared to the rest.
She's the third wheel as far as tanks go, man.
Yeah, she has certain maps where she gains more value. This one not being one of them. I agree with you that it's kind of like, well, they're just going to pick Johanna here. Stitches, maybe? When you pair it with Zeratul, it's actually pretty good. It's a very poke area oriented map where you can kind of dance around the map objective forever. It's like fish in the barrel, you know?
All right, well, let's see here. Malfurion, as you were talking about before.
I like that pickup on their side. I think it's going to be really beneficial for the rest of their draft. And now I've never seen them play Stitches, but I think Stitches is the go-to.
Yeah, I mean, Stitches, Johanna, Renovatio before, as far as tanks went, like, only played Muradin in ETC really towards the end of their qualifiers, so...
Putting them in an uncomfortable position, already showing heads-up draft on the side of Naventic.
And the amount that they're struggling with this and how low their timer is going is making me think that this ETC pickup for Naventic hurt Renovatio more than it should have. Like, they really thought they could pick up ETC in picks 2 and 3.
Diablo.
Wow, okay.
Solo Diablo. That's, that's going to be interesting. And there's the Falstad. So, I definitely made a misplay in the call with talking about picking up the Falstad earlier, mainly because of 3 DPS, but again, they rounded out because I know they wanted it. They were just like, guys, we got Falstad. So, because NA and Europe, as I said, love that pickup. So, I think a lot of what you're going to see this game, I know when it comes to North Americans viewing kind of the solo Diablo support, it's legitimately just like Diablo queues in, and then Falstad goes, you're dead. And everybody just kills the Diablo because of his lack of escape and his survivability being at the mid-range there. Makes him very, very vulnerable. At the same time, Gus and APOC significantly longer cooldown. And so they just APOC and then you guys go, okay, well, Gus. And then you just wait till Gus is back up, force another fight. Welcome to the beauty of the little, like, thunder chicken, you know?
Yeah, I mean, Falstad, pretty fun stuff, man. You think the Gus needs a higher cooldown?
I've been very public about my opinion on that, and yes, I very much so.
I had a feeling, the way you were talking about it. I'm like, I don't know if you're, like, a sick fan of Gus, actually. Like,
do
you remember Hinterland Blast. People used to pick that.
I do actually.
Is that crazy?
No, I don't think it's crazy. Actually, it's one of my favorite heroics in the game. Actually, back when it was Shock and Awe, is when it was picked up very heavily. KO actually on my team at the time was very good at it. There was one game where he actually confirmed 4 kills within 1 Hinterlands. It was actually
Wow.
it was one of, like the stars align moment of like Heroes
that's
Esports.
sick. That
Yeah.
would be like so awesome to see. Did you ever see that GIF on Blackheart's Bay of Toronto shooting an owl and it killed?
Yeah,
people?
it was
Best GIF in the world, man. I love it. Oh man.
Can you feel like the moment of satisfaction when that happens if you're that player?
And like his whole team just spamming LOL. I'm like, yeah. I don't know. I just had to bring that up when you said the 4 kill with Hinterland Blast. I'm like, yeah.
No, I agree with you there. The Owl coming in massive play. So let's look at the draft. When you were talking about last game, you were like, who do we think is going to win? What do you think with that kind of draft so far coming out? Who do you feel has the advantage?
Okay, look, I kind of like Naventic here. I don't think that this is like completely terrible. I don't see exactly what Diablo is going to get done for them here.
Yes.
What I do like is that they actually have Tastar and Rhaegar here to kind of empower this Thrall a little bit.
Yeah.
It just, everything about it looks nice to me.
Yeah,
and as you said, I mean, the ridiculousness that is Falstad, like, he's the last pick for Naventic.
Yeah.
That has to be a really good draft.
No, I agree. And it's kind of something that we see from TNL a lot is kind of that Zeratul Zagara style play. And with APOC as well going to be picked up, I don't think this is going to be a lightning breath, mainly because he has way too many things that can set him up, right? If there's a huge void, it's going to be an APOC, cancel the void, followed up with a root. There's a large amount of AoE CC that's almost inevitable when it comes to Renovatio's comp. So they definitely have what it takes. But again, I agree with you that I feel like if Diablo's the one initiating, I'm fearful for Renovatio's success because it's going to be a panic APOC in terms of keeping himself alive, not utilizing it for his team.
Now, to be fair, they have really good ping over there, right? They do have Li Ming here.
Yeah.
They do have Zagara, so they can kind of ping and try to get. There are definitely like very small areas where you can group up on this map.
Yeah.
And Battlefield of Eternity in the middle, trying to go into an Immortal. So there is always the possibility of a big Maw or a big Prism, and then that's a situation where Renovatio might be able to win the game.
Yeah, no, I think they have the tools of what it takes. It's whether or not they're able to apply it, kind of take away that 10-second lag we kind of saw of last game, right? Because they definitely showed that they knew how to play the game. They understood very well. I mean, they're here at the World Finals, right? Like, they definitely know how to make it happen. The question is whether or not they can when everything's on the line. We even saw teams that are considered more formidable than them panic last game, right? Like that forced core call on the side of Naventic. They didn't even break the shields.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it shows how when everything's on the line, a lot of people underestimate like the amount of pressure that are on these guys while they're playing. Like, it's like one of those things that I actually, when I kind of train for any kind of tournament at all, when there's a lot of pressure, is like I regurgitate the same information in my head over and over again because when I start panicking, I just go. It's a basic rule system, right? Like, it's like don't cold core unless there's this many dead type deal because it's the safest way to play when you can't think straight.
Absolutely. I have done very similar things in my career as a pro gamer in StarCraft and Hearthstone, and the pressure when you're on a big stage, when everyone's watching, this is so important to you. You've worked all year towards this.
Like your life, for that matter.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's all-encompassing being a pro gamer, okay? This is not an 8-to-5 job. This is a complete lifestyle.
Yeah.
So definitely that pressure comes into play, and the people who can deal with that the most are the people who are going to get the furthest a lot of the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's actually a big strength of some of these teams. Like, for instance, I think that's a big strength of TNL.
Absolutely.
I think that's a big strength of Cloud9 as well.
Yeah, I agree. They've seen a lot and they've performed very well on the very big scale, and I know that's something that they're very heads up about when they play. Is like, how well do we do on LAN compared to when Cloud9 specifically when we did offline? Like, what are the major differences? Where are we struggling? Because they're very worried because they know how heavily that pressure influences it. But here we go. We are going to be going into game number 2 here, ladies and gentlemen, between these two teams. Renovatio has something to prove here.
Indeed they do. I hope that they can. I'd love to see this go to game number 3. I love it when some of these nations and areas that people don't think of in esports, right? No one ever talks about Southeast Asian region. No one ever talks about Filipino teams. But if they could take a game here, I think that would be a big deal for them.
Already out the gate, the block pickup on the side of Zeratul, not something that's very common. Typically, Regen Messer is a very heavy go-to, so it's going to be. I want to see where they kind of move with the Zeratul. Are they going to be kind of like? I mean, it might be a bold statement, but maybe they're trying to catch Naventic off guard with like a crazy Shadow Assault or something, right?
Okay.
Like they take it away from them because this isn't their comfort pick. I don't think they should. I think
I would be pretty surprised about Shadow Assault, especially double support here.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't think it's the most probable, but I think maybe looking out for trying to catch their opponent off guard, because that's, again, underestimated. It's like when you've never seen it before and you're on this big of a scale, like you're just like, guys, how do we deal with this?
Yeah.
Where normally you're like, okay, this is a bad strat, I got this.
And let's not forget, this is Heroes of the Storm. If the game is at all close and late game you get a big pick, that can lead to a victory. So, you know, sometimes risks are very smart to take.
Yeah, and we see the traditional 1-4 here, nothing crazy. Zeratul kind of posturing around, getting sight. Zuno very heads up there in order to not reveal himself. They know he's up there, right? But they don't know where specifically. He's getting the soak without risking and positioning because Zeratul, he knows Zeratul's going to be hunting him down.
Yeah. Well, looks like we might have just a little bit of a PC issue here. Sure that we'll get that straightened away right off the bat. Really fun tournament so far, guys. Even though we've only been one game in, the opening ceremony was nuts. If you have just turned in, I feel bad for you. You definitely got to watch the VOD of that when it gets up. It was bringing tears to my eyes, man. Damn, esports has made it far.
No, it has. There was flames. There was robots. It was just, you know, it was just like.
There's something about a Korean goblin that made a statue. Yeah. It's like totally crazy.
It was absolutely phenomenal, and it was really well. It was just awesome to experience, especially being my first time in Korea. So really neat there. So between this matchup, though, again. I want to see. I personally want to see Renovatia show signs of life. Even though I'm from an A, I want to see Naventic do something. I love the underdog story, especially from teams that show that they very much understand the game. And I think this is a team that can do that.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome, guys. By the way, get out there, tell your friends, let them know that the Spring Championships is on. This hasn't really gotten as much attention as it deserves and as it should for the level of production, the level of play, like. The great casting lineup that we are joined with here in Korea, like everything about it is awesome. So let everyone know. I know this is not like the stream we're on today is twitch.tv/Blizzard. I didn't even know that was a stream. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
we were sitting in before the setup, and it's just like, guys, what stream are we on specifically? So we'll be getting the advertisements out there. I do agree with you, mainly on the aspect of the players here, what they're able to bring to the table, how hard they've all worked for this moment right here, and that the fact that they aren't kind of given the viewership or maybe the credit that they deserve for their hard work. Because again, I feel like there's a huge misconception on how hard these guys kind of work to be the best that they can possibly be. Even from regions, like we're right here, SEA, like everybody's like, well, they just play the game, and they're considered like the underdogs, so obviously they don't try. That is not how this works.
Not.
They are working their butts off.
They are at a disadvantage compared to the other players, and the fact that they're here putting up a good fight is very, very impressive indeed.
Yeah, and here we go. We are into the game once more. Again, the posturing on the upper half of the map. Zeratul trying to let something happen. He doesn't contribute much, but again, Diablo maybe getting a little bit too aggressive in the bottom. Kenma getting flipped, but he's not going to be too risky.
And down he goes. Very, very painful indeed. We do actually have a little chase going down onto McIntyre.
But his blink aggressively. He's going to be going down. That's a really good job there on the side of Naventic, and it just capitalizing on every little misplay. And that was a little bit of what I was kind of foretelling maybe before this game. I know Naventic, they're going to see Diablo, and they're like, just kill him. That is all they're going to be thinking there. And that already starting out at level 1 here, Artosis.
Yes, indeed. A nice little lead going up for Naventic right now. We do have Fan, of course, on this Task Star. Looking at that Leeming, probably saying, I do Leeming better than that. Fan, you do Leeming better than everyone, buddy. Come on.
Share a little bit of the Leeming there. Our early rotations already getting on the map objective. And this map, I was talking last time about the sensitivity of getting on the map objective early. This map is more important than every other one to get on it as fast as you can. This is going to phase here. You see Naventic already getting an early lead here, and it's going to posture. One on the right, one on the left hand. Naventic, every team rotating already, and as everything holds true from the first phase, Naventic's going to get this first Mortal, but not by a large margin.
Yeah, it's pretty close, actually. When you look at these two sides, like who kills it quicker, this is actually really hard to call, and normally it's not.
I'm gonna give it to Falstead, just because his W, his auto attack scaling is insane, but mainly his W. When his W gets full channel on anybody, he just ruins people, and he gets that already early on here. So they pull it away here, and you already see them posturing as well. They move to the bottom half of the map. The Immortal moving to the upper one. They're going to be looking for 2 front walls. Keep in mind with how low the shields are. At most, they're going to get 1 front wall. I don't think it's going to be 2 unless a major misplay happens on the side of Renovatia.
All right, well, right now Renovatia having 3 heroes down here on these bottom gates, trying to keep them up. We do have a little bit of soak going on by Zeratul up here. Actually dealing some damage there to Zuna.
Yeah, and he's trying to get a little bit of a 1v1. I don't think he actually wins this in matchup. Zuna posturing up aggressively there, but realistically, this is a winning situation across the board for Naventic. They've drawn a little bit of aggro, kept the 4-1 on the bottom half, but I'm going to be honest, I feel like Zuna's been very heads up when it comes to this matchup, but I feel like on the bottom half of the map in a 4v3, they could have gotten a little bit more, and they actually lock it down, getting the pick onto ETC, who was trying to flank, I believe. I don't know. We didn't get to see that, but that was Naventic's ETC who was up there, so...
Well, that's getting a little bit crazy. I think they've been watching a lot of Chinese VODs moving around like that.
The Bush meta game starting in North America.
Bush meta, we'll be talking about that a lot as the weekend moves on, guys. Like, for those of you who haven't seen the Chinese pros, they are even more aggressive than Naventic, who is, in my mind, like, as far as the West goes, probably the most aggressive team there is.
Yeah, probably. And they're just the beautiful Bush rotations that they have constantly with the aggression there. So teams posturing up around the map, or excuse me, around the kind of throwers down on the bottom half. They aren't going to gain too much. A lot of what we're going to see when it comes to Mercs, specifically, usually timing the Shaman. Timing the Shaman on this map is very, very, very valuable. Keep in mind, Naventic has an advantage because they have a pseudo global. So any camp, and again, an invasion working for Naventic, maybe showing Renovatio kind of scared.
Yeah, but hold on, look at this. It looks like they're going to get a pick on Zuna, perhaps.
Oh man, that was close. He ends up going down there, but the front wall going to be falling on the side of Naventic as well. Look at both teams. They're going to be posturing up to get a timing with the map objective. I think when it comes to their Shamans right now, they're kind of a little bit close.
You know what? I want to actually just get your opinion before like any real big action starts here.
Yeah.
Here's my opinion. The Shaman camp is better than bosses.
The Shaman camp is the most effective camp in the game, even considering bosses on most occasions, except when you consider core.
Okay, yeah, no, it doesn't kill core, but like it is the most annoying thing to clear out of a lane.
Left alone, that camp will be more effective than every other camp in the game, minus the core. Because when it goes to core, the dogs go into range and splash damage hits already, so it's a bit of a struggle there. And look at this already. Renovatia is worried about the camp timing, which they've already done improperly. They're actually waiting on it. But Naventic, faster to get on the map objective. They get the phase before their opponents. And again, we were talking about how big of a lead that is. And again, I think you're going to see Naventic always worry about being aggressive as they possibly can when it comes to the map objective. And now Renovatio defending because they have the camp pushing on top. That's very heads-up play on their half.
All right, well, it looks like we do have Naventic backing up all together here. Uh-oh, we actually had Zeratul going in a little bit too deep there. Scarra throwing down absolutely every ability, pushing back Naventic a bit more.
Yeah, I like this play on this on the side of Renovatio. I think it's really heads up. The one, especially with that Zeratul getting on the map objective, I really like it. I'm surprised Falset hasn't worried about either rotating or hard committing to this map objective because they aren't winning this war anymore.
And let's not forget, we actually have that Bruiser camp up in that top lane, so that's a really big deal.
Yeah, that flip actually putting Zuna outside of the range of the root, but Zeratul getting a flank here in the back line. They're trying to kill him, but McIntyre's going to fall down.
Wow, very nice rotation down here by their Zeratul player. Renovatia doing a great job.
Yeah, meanwhile, the Shaman camp's been pushing the upper half of the map. I'm going to expect that it's got at least a front wall at this point, and now they're making an aggressive rotation on the map objective. But keep in mind, Naventic's beating them at least to get on it. A little bit slow on the side of Zuna, and that's going to be, I think, Renovatio's.
Looks like it's going to just barely go. Oh my god, that's like an auto attack.
232 going to be on the side of Renovatio. That might seem like a little bit of not very much shields, but that was a really big win for Renovatio because if that was going in the side of Naventic, the momentum swing only going farther in their favor.
And that fort is half gone now on health because of that camp, which they actually did time late, but that was some really nice follow-up play going down for the defense.
That was a little bit of what I was kind of commenting. I'm surprised Falset didn't just clean it earlier. That's where I was like, he has the pseudo-global. It's an advantage when it's the split-pushing camp, but Naventic not getting the camp and then actually losing the Immortal as well. Keep in mind, Falset actually at 4 has gone Flow Rider as well, getting that kind of CDR with his build. So going to be interesting to see how it kind of plays that out. They're trying to pair the roots, you see, on Diablo when Renovatio. They're kind of trying to use it like a Toronto stuff. Yeah. So you flip them into the roots. It's a really good setup there. So
yes, I died to Diablo Malfurion all the time in Hero League to that. So I definitely am very familiar with that one. But looks like a little bit more damage being done there to that top 4. And Renovatio, they're actually looking like they're going to hit 10 first as well.
Yeah, they're definitely showing those signs of life I was hoping to see from them this game here. And also you saw Naventic, oh my goodness, the confidence there. 3 versus 3 and just goes, hey guys, we're here, we're all going to go. But feigning it, I love that aggressive fake on their side there. But again, you saw them kind of looking to get the Shaman camp and maybe questioning the timing. It just feels like, again, a little bit of jitters when it comes to the Naventic style of play, and that might be enough, especially with the composition on the side of Renovatio, that all it might take to get a big win.
Well, right now, you know, this is kind of like that dead time where you just have to time out your camps. They're forcing a little bit here, poking in with that Zero tool. If they can get this fort down, that's going to be big.
Yeah, no, it will be a big lead here. They are going to have 10. It's going to be a 5 versus 5. Expect a Void. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they don't this. If they get a big Void, I would take this fight. Renovatio has the opportunity. You see the posturing there, but they might be waiting a little bit too long. Okay, they get the fort and they're going to back out, worrying about maybe the map objective that's going to be spawning relatively soon.
They might be going after Fan there. Looks like he will take the, what do you call it, the path of shame, the safe route around the left-hand side of the map. Of course, smart to do so there, but Renovatio really playing quite well. What does Naventic have to do to catch up here?
I feel like Naventic just needs to stop being afraid and play their game. McIntyre making aggressive rotations there, adding Gus to try and slow here. And I don't know if it's going to be enough. Ma being forced is huge, though. That is a very long cooldown. Keep in mind, all of Renovatio's heroics are absolutely influential when it comes to team fights, but they're very long cooldowns. Almost every single one of them sits above 100-second cooldown.
Yeah. Well, right now we do have the next Immortals starting up. Naventic being pushed back for the time being. We do have Zagara. She had a Hearthstone home, so coming back onto the field.
Yeah, and you see the teams actually getting the timer out there, putting it into Alta accidentally, giving a little bit of free information. You see the posturing there from Envy right there, trying to get sight for his team with the Zeratul. And kind of getting bullied off this map objective right now. Misery Proc's worried about the Shaman camp again. It feels like they don't understand the timing absolutely. They wait for the map objective to spawn, and they're getting punished 2 phases in a row for that.
Yeah, and the thing is, that's going to take a long time to actually get all the way over to the keep walls, so I feel like that's even less valuable than last time. But anyways, they are starting to push over during this time.
Falstead just uses Flight, which now makes it hard for him to be the guy who decides to clear the Shaman camp, and so that's going to be really important. A Force Void, expect the APOC as a follow-up here. Gus being used, no APOC is an option. Very well done. Wow. APOC's now forced. That was exactly what I was talking about. Expect the APOC, then you Gus.
Well, it looks like that was a great play there by Team Naventic. The combo absolutely not catching them. And they are continuing to push on here. I'm getting a little bit worried, though. Misery Fox is very low on health. Yeah, Tranquility is going to be used. Keep in mind, Ma is still not off of cooldown at this point. And all the resources except for Ma are going to be off on cooldown for a short period of time here. I'm surprised Naventic hasn't been more aggressive against their opponent, especially after using those major cooldowns. There they go. They're going to try and get a hard amount of damage into the Diablo. The stun's going to come out, and I think that's going to be it. Bosch's force. There is nothing to stop this here, Artosis. Yeah, look at that. A nice shield from Tassadar going down. Not even Li Ming can go ahead and take out Urho, and a beautiful Ancestral Arm as well, keeping him alive. Misery Procs very, very low here. Very likely to go down. In fact, a fly in there by McIntyre. Yeah, and they're going to lock away 2 kills at this point, trying to get more, and then understanding they're going to get the map objective, the phase. But again, because of the use of the global, pseudo-global there on the side of McIntyre, nobody's been able to clear a Shaman 2 times in a row. Again, just feels like, oh man, the stop at the back there was a little bit of a whip, but I feel like Naventic's a better team than they're playing here. And it shows their nerves are off the charts, it feels like. Either that or their communication. Something here is showing to kind of be wavering their kind of skill level and their aggression. That's kind of interesting. When I was talking to them, they seemed like they were actually really excited for the tournament. Felt like they could do very, very well here, possibly even pick up a victory. But you're definitely right about this. Like, there are some mistakes going on. Look at this. They've lost. I mean, it took forever for this camp to get over here, and they're just cleaning up with almost no health left on that other tower. Yeah, and that's sometimes something you can't deal with, but specifically their composition and the situations they put themselves in, they have been more than able to. So showing their decision-making, maybe questioning a little bit there. And also keep in mind, structurally, Renovatio is actually ahead of them. Not for long. This will be falling down with this fort. But Renovatio's got Zagara on the bottom half of the map right now. I am very fearful of that. I would just expect Naventic to force this fight as hard as they can. They're posturing very safe on the side of Renovatio, again showing how heads up they are. But this kind of dancing with death here is something that I don't like to see. It's a little bit too risky here. They do have Void, which is a fail-safe for them. Zagara's Mom's coming up on 10 seconds. They might try and force it when the map objective is down. Expect for a Void while the teams are running away. That's where Zeratul really kind of thrives. All right, let's see that. Zeratul is hiding over in that bush, and here he comes, coming right up. Can he get a good Void? Beautiful Gus, though, does come down for the disengage here by McIntyre. Yeah, absolutely. Just one big breath away, and then everybody has no opportunity to deal with them there. That is the power of Falstad, why some of the other regions are very much holding on to him. I would say that one was a little bit of a, obviously more straightforward and safe use of the tool. But again, it's when it's that
that short of a cooldown, like why even risk it, right? Just gus him away, wait it out, you know? It's not too hard to wait for, but now we do see the massive Wando combo and heroics up on the side of Renovatio. And finally, this is the rotation, the aggression that we're used to seeing from Naventic. What they've just done here with their play so far, not necessarily top secret strats, but very much showing their play style, playing their game.
Well, look at this move by Renovatio. They're actually pushing back here and going in towards the keep. This is going to cause a Hearthstone from basically everyone on Team Naventic, but they can't stay here to fight, can they?
Yeah, no, they can't at this time, and if they get it, oh, the Gus is going to be used to disengage, isolate the Zagara from everybody. Ma is going to be whiffed.
Oh, and Zagara's actually getting away. The Void Prism does trap them, but is this going to be enough damage going out? It looks like they do have Diablo jump in. A nice flip, but Zuna gets that Ancestral off.
Yeah, they've stacked a lot of heroics and it didn't work out for them. They're going to see Malfurion falling down. Urho secures one more kill. There isn't going to be a Gus for a second. McIntyre with a very aggressive barrel roll over the wall. It's actually going to get him killed. Tacit Shield fan doing a great job. The force wall. He gets zoned out and he says, "You shall not pass."
Oh my
Fan
God.
showing why he's one of the most credited heroes here, or players here at this tournament. And now the map objective is up. This is absolute worst case scenario. Level behind, map objective is up. You have 0 contention, and this is one of the most powerful map objectives in the game.
Yeah, you know, that was just kind of uncalled for, staying at the keep. I like forcing them to Hearthstone back, but why aren't they, the second that they start attacking the team, you know, Naventic disappears from the battlefield, why don't they just back out of there?
I agree. I think maybe posturing back a little bit would have been a safer play without a doubt, but at the same time, I feel like their team fight was very staggered when it comes to kind of their heroic use, right? We talked about the wombo that they had set up, but it felt like they were using multiple heroics at the same time. It was a Ma missed, APOC.
That was a desperation Ma, too.
And APOC was used as desperation as well. Hit almost no heroes because all of them were stacked and it was easy to dodge. So Void Prism was the only one that really got any effect, and all it took was one great Ancestral on the side of Kenma, and then it was just like, well, guys, you have nothing to fight us anymore.
Absolutely. Well, right now we actually do have Naventic falling back and getting this Bruiser camp. They definitely have the time to do that since the Immortal's at 100% shields right now.
And again, it's not risking their 16, right? Like, they know that they're going to be looking for a desperation fight. Hey, guys, play a little patient. Oh, we got 16 now? Let's move into the map objective. So, again, showing their heads-up play here.
All right, well, right now we do have Renovatio going onto that top Immortal, getting it down pretty even overall. APOC actually kind of getting a lot of stuns there. In fact, another set of stuns. Oh my God, did they actually...
That was
just barely did
wow.
It
that was a really interesting choice there on the side of Renovatio.
It almost worked.
I like the idea. I honestly loved it. I just feel like they needed one other person to kind of do something here, and it's one of those things where it's like, okay, they burnt their heroic that's very, very long on the side of APOC. That's not the end of the world. But the real question is here is now that this fight's going to be forced.
Yeah.
And you're going to have one of your more influential heroics when it comes to your success of your team fight. I'm just afraid that they were like, they wanted the map objective, but it's like, guys, if we lose this, like, that was an all-in kind of play, I feel like, here. And I feel like Naventic's going to abuse this.
Well, and they can abuse it because we don't actually have 16 yet. This is a very small wave here. I guess it does have a camp, so I think they might... No, I don't think they're going to quite get it.
Close.
So that's really rough. This is so tough. I think they're losing this keep 100%. And I mean, this is a tough battle. If they lose anyone, this could go really wrong. I think, again, kind of showing Naventic's playstyle right now. They had no APOC on the side of Renovatio, and that was a situation where it wouldn't have been necessarily the best team fight, but they didn't even question it. So maybe showing that they're kind of sculpting their play to be a little bit more well-tuned. I was surprised that they didn't try and force that a little bit harder, but again, if I was them, I'd be in a situation where it's like, guys, how do we just lose this game? Let's just not do that, and that's exactly what we see from them. All right, well, right now we do have, you know, just a little bit of posturing in this lane. We have that siege camp plus the catapult here as well. We have Urho going in, but a big void.
The stack! Oh, that is going to be that is going to hurt them so bad. Gus is going to be used there, Artosis. I don't know how this is going to go. Urho's getting low, but no, there's the Ancestral.
Beautiful Ancestral going down. We do have Tranquility out here right now for Malfurion, starting to chase Naventic back a little bit.
Yep, just wait for the Trank, to wait for it to go down, everybody heal up, and there's no way I see... like, the fact that Naventic won't force this fight, there it is, they posture around, they try and get into Diablo damage, but Urho's getting very, very poked.
All right, well, it looks like, ooh, a big Maw goes down, the root, 2 heroes.
No root to follow up in that type of situation. Urho with the Mosh, he cancels the Diablo's Q at that point, that was huge.
Wow, and look at that. They are actually going to pick up a lot of kills here. And McIntyre actually barrel rolling forward, getting a couple more. Yeah. And, of course, Diablo is going to fall as well. Like, this just all... they just haven't actually been tagging together their heroics or any of their setups here for Renovatia.
Yeah, it seems like things are, everybody's not kind of on the same page, if you will. And I would like to see this death staggered a little bit longer on the side of Malfurion. Diablo is going to be delayed pretty long. I don't know if he has the souls. He does. He's going to be brought back up. The reason why I think if they had waited on that kill a little bit longer is the map objective we're going to spawn, right? So essentially they could have kept Malfurion alive for a little bit longer and then kill him when everybody's going to be at a contention point, like right about now. Then worry about the map objective. Malf can't be alive for either phase of the Immortal.
Yeah.
Not necessarily always going to be a play option, but I feel like that was a situation where Naventic could have bit off a little bit more than they did.
He could have danced around that Malfurion
Absolutely.
for a bit. Malfurion's like, what do I do here? Do I heal myself? Like,
yeah.
I'm not making it out.
In theory, dying the faster was actually a strategic play at that point. So, so now both the teams pushing up. And Naventic, again, getting on the map objective before their opponent, making the rotations. They do have a man advantage for a short period of time, but Malfurion will be up rather quickly. Keep in mind, Maw on a 35-second cooldown.
All right, we do have Naventic pushing forward. Some defense coming out by Renovation. We have Tassar, or rather Zeratul going around the other side. Urho does get that stun down. Root as well. A big Sunder.
That Sunder coming in there. APOC is a response, only hitting Thrall. This is going to hurt very, very bad. We still don't see Maw cooldown. They're losing the phase. The patience on the side of Naventic is absolutely crucial. They don't need to force anything, and they know it. I would expect the minute Renovation moves up, Naventic just backs out and goes, guys, we don't have to worry about this. Like, oh, great Maw, though, on to the Zagara there. Fan, really well done on his half. But see that? They move in, Renovation moves in, and Naventic understands. They very much know. It's like, guys, just wait it out. 3 catapults on the core as well.
3 catapults on the core, man. This looks like one of my games. Seriously, that's very powerful to have there. The shield's going to be going out. Of course, they will spawn more minions and clear that up, so they don't have to go back right now, but you know, right now the Immortal has so much health on the side of Naventic. Yeah,
it does, and that flip actually coming into play. Gus going to be used again, showing the strength of the Great Force Wall to try and zone. I don't think they're going to move in again. They're worried about kind of getting 20. Naventic knows, this is what I like to call kind of the keep them busy kind of strategy, where Naventic doesn't want to fight until they get an advantage, but they aren't afraid to kind of dance with their opponent, right? Don't risk anything, but don't like give anything up at the same time. And that's where you see them constantly doing back and forth. Very well done. That's something only veteran kind of teams can do, and so they've done this very well. Back and forth, getting the poke. Really like this from them. And if they secure this and get 20 advantage, it's going to be very, very scary.
Yeah, in fact, that could be game over. Let's not forget that top keep wall. I believe the whole thing is down, so that would be a big deal as well. Pushed right through there. Big Sunder does actually come down right now.
That was huge. The mosh pit, everybody walking into. Trank's going to be coming out to stun on Diablo, and they're going to be falling down. That's 2 people dead already. Artosis, I don't know if they have what it takes here. Falset flying away.
Yeah, well, I guess he's going to go ahead and gust everyone in from the other side, kind of like some style points here from McIntyre.
Yeah, the Lunar Flare wasn't enough. You know, he's got to get a little bit fancy. You know, if they really want to push it in the final screen of the game, if you fly at a correct angle, you can actually have Falset like photobomb the victory screen.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we'll see if you can get that kind of
what
MVP points.
What a waste they didn't have that happen. But it looks like they are going to go ahead and just try to finish here on the core. Yeah. Should absolutely be doable, I would say.
Yeah, and again, it's something where I feel like Renovatio played a very good game in both of these games. I feel like they showed definitely signs of life. But more than anything, I think what we can take away from the set is how is Naventic going to do when they play somebody that is considered to be more on their level?
Well, okay, that's a really good point. I'm glad you brought that up, Dred. But this is the first match, right? We just had that sick opening ceremony. They had to walk out on stage. This place is packed. There's so many people actually here watching, cheering. It's so loud. This is the nicest stage they've ever played on by miles and miles. So. You know, this is kind of a good thing that they're playing against, like, Renovatia, let's say, first, as opposed to someone like Cloud9.
Like a warm-up, if you will.
Yeah, right? They're getting some of the nerves out. I think they should be playing better going forward.
I agree. That's something maybe that I'm being a little bit too harsh on them. Maybe because it's more of like my region, and I'm just like, guys, we got to do this. But at the same time, yeah, I can see where you're coming from there. Showing already out the gates level 1. Showing why they kind of walk away with a win in that game. But I agree with you. Maybe some of it's going to be a little bit of nerves, how well they play it out. Because it did seem like as the series went on, they got better and better. Like game 1, it showed signs of like, guys, what's happening here? But then they postured it out later on. So
you know, a few mistakes here and there. But, you know, Renovatio, I wonder if they can maybe get 3rd place in the group. Like, look, I don't want to be like rude, but this group has 2 ridiculously good teams in it.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to be able to beat either. They put up a very good fight, though, here against Naventic. And I think that, it's going to be interesting to see them play later on in that losers match.
No, I agree with you, and it's something I think it's more than a possibility. And maybe even after this game, maybe a little bit of this, we don't know them very well, right? What if we saw there's more nerves on their side than on the side of Naventic? They kind of got it out, right? And then in the next round, I mean, it's not like they got stomped by any means here when it came to this series. So I wouldn't even be surprised that I'm not going to even count them out from even maybe getting second in this group.
Yeah, I mean, let's not forget, there's not really that much pressure on them. Not a lot of people are looking at Renovatia to make a big splash here.
Yeah.
So that is something that if you're the underdog, if there's not a lot of pressure on you, that's a big deal.
Yeah, no, I agree.
It really makes you play better. It makes you more calm, and if no one's expecting anything of you, you can do anything, and it's not going to hurt. So yeah,
if you just put your heart into it, you can do anything, Artosis.
Absolutely. If you try hard enough, if you work hard enough, your dreams can be had.
Oh, man. Well, now that we got the optimism of today out of the way. Moving on, it's just Renovatio, I like what they had to play, and I liked Naventic, and I really hope you're right, just for the sake of North America, because Cloud9 being a very, very well-established team, but also internationally very much showing that they have what it takes. I would like to see a little bit more of that kind of thrive in NA and have other teams that are able to do so. And like I said, I think they have the potential. I just don't think it was very well executed in this situation.
All right. Well, that was our first match of the day, guys. Hope that you really did enjoy that. It was a lot of fun.
I'm
having a good time so far. Yeah. It's only going to get better from here. Our next match is actually going to be Edward Gaming going up against Negative Synergy. So that's China against Australia. A couple teams that you watching at home in English, unless you're in Australia. Hey, mate. You like that? That's my Australian impression.
That was good.
Hey, mate.
That was good.
You might not have seen these guys so much, so definitely going to be kind of a treat for you. What are you thinking about that match?
I like the idea of the matchup and want to see how it's going to be playing out. I think it's going to be really interesting, but mainly because when you think of Negative Synergy, I feel like they have been very Wombo combo-centric, and EDG is a very well-known team. And they're not easy to research, right? Like they're very, very difficult to understand. So is Negative Synergy going to go, hey guys, we're just going to play our game, or are they going to be more worried about trying to fill like the Chinese metagame? I'm excited to see it, especially because I feel like China might be vulnerable to that Wombo combo style play. It's easy to disengage like this to say that style doesn't work, but once in a while it pulls away big wins.
Absolutely. How do you think a Wombo combo style goes up against a very aggressive style, though?
If you have like Void Prison, for instance, they engage, you counter engage, you hit. Like if we saw that exact same game where we saw Renovatio just play right there, they had the ability to counter engage. Like if the Sunder came out, they all collapse, one Void, they all wipe. Right? So it's like it's one of those things where it's just one major misplay on your opponents and everything can turn. And Negative Synergy, I think, has what it takes.
All right, that's going to be a really fun match. We are going to veto Dread. We're going to ban him out of the next cast and pick up a first pick Kaldor. Of course, I'll probably be the last pick down there. It'll be me and Gazlo down at the bottom. But, yeah, that's going to be our next match, guys. As you see, this is the bracket so far. We had TNL win that other first match on the other side. No big surprise there.
Oh, well, I don't know. I thought it was surprising, you know, because no, they're a great team. And actually, they are the most, I think, experienced when it comes to international play. They have more play than every other team on the international level right now.
Yeah, I would absolutely say that's true.
Only followed by Cloud9.
They've been all over the world, and let's not forget that these are StarCraft 2 pros, 4 of them are, that have played a ton on stage. So that's why I was saying them and Cloud9 are kind of like the ones that are going to excel on this type of crazy stage you see behind us here. So I think that's going to be it for us, guys. We should be going to a quick commercial break here. Don't go anywhere except to tell your friends, and, maybe get a snack or go to the bathroom.
Yeah, just a little bit of
munching. Don't leave your house unless you're going to your friend's house to watch, and then that's okay, right?
Yeah, no, you can hang out. That's what we're doing right now. Like, you know, you just sit around, talk about the game. It's a great time. So
it is. It truly is. In fact, mute us if you want to do that. So, guys, stay right there. Stay tuned. We're going to a quick commercial break, and we'll be back with EDG against Negative Synergy.